It's time for an Amateurs in the Bag. You shouldn't care about what I throw, but you do. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Back of the Box Disc Golf. My name is Cole. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I want to get into my in the bag for the 2021 season. It's gone through some changes. There's some things that are the same, and I'm really happy with where everything's at right now. So let's go ahead and take a look. So first in the bag, we have the putters, which I'm still with the EXO hard link in the summer. I go to the soft link in the winter. But this mold, there's nothing wrong with my game with the link, so I'm not gonna change it. This is a beaded putter, and I have several reviews of the link on my channel, so if you want a more detailed explanation, you can go check that out. But this just feels the most comfortable in my hand out of all the putters I've tried. And as you've seen from my channel, I try a lot of putters. But this is the one that stayed in the bag for a long time. I like that it has stability in the circle, and I really like how it's just super consistent across run to run. All right, next I want to talk about throwing putters. So new to the bag this year in a permanent fashion is the Axiom Envy. So I carry 3 right now in different plastics to get different flights. So this first one is a Cosmic Electron Soft Envy. And this one's nice and beat in, so it's pretty understable at this point. So I can throw it sort of on a baby Annie and it'll go whee all the way over and then land soft and flat. And if I really rip on it, it'll burn over, but I love this for sort of nose up putter shots, and it floats really sort of delicately to the ground. And this is probably the disc other than my link that I use the most. The next plastic I have is a very new Glow 2.0 Eclipse Envy. And this one of the premium plastic Envies is a straighter, so I can throw it hard and flat and it'll turn a tiny bit and then come back to flat. And then the third Envy is this Plasma Envy. And this run is more overstable compared to the other two. So I can throw this hard and it'll go straight and then fade out. And I really like this for both full speed off the tee backhand. And I like this for flip to flat, ride straight forehands. My forehand is getting a lot more comfortable compared to last year, so I'm utilizing a lot more forehand-friendly discs. So this one will flip to flat, ride straight, and then a little fade at the end maybe. It's a really, really useful disc. And last for my putt and approach discs is the Discraft Zone. So I've thrown the Zone before, but it didn't really stick in my bag. And as you might know, I've been on the search for the right 4-speed overstable putt and approach disc, and I think I found it with the Zone. So I carry 2 in the bag. This first one is one of the Cryztal Flex stock Get Freaky zones. This run specifically, the grip is better than the other runs that I've tried before. I had another Cryztal Flex at one point and it was just really slick, but this is such a comfortable disc, backhand and forehand. It's probably my 3rd most used disc after that Soft Envy, especially scrambling in the woods or scrambling when I miss my drive, which I do fairly often. That disc is my workhorse and I really like it. And then as an overstable complement, I have this 2021 Brian Earhart Zone. This is pretty new. And this one I can throw a lot harder. On forehand, it won't drift to the left. On backhand, it won't drift to the right. It just fades out. So it's a really nice complement to that Get Freaky. Okay, let's go ahead and check out my mid-range lineup. So my mid-range lineup is really small these days. Because the Envy is such a glidey throw-in putter, I just throw those more often than not. I used to carry up to 4 mid-ranges, but right now I have 2 in the bag and I'm quite happy with it. So the understable mid that I have is a 500 plastic M4, the Matteo signature, and this disc is just really nice. I can throw it hard and flat. It'll ride to the right on my backhand and just slowly careen down. It's a little bit touchy, but the more that I learn this disc, the more that I like it. If I throw it on a hyzer, it'll flip to flat and fade out. So that's a really nice understable mid. The problem I was having with all these understable mids is I wanted something that felt sort of shallow and not bulbous. Like the Castoplast Sphia is kind of tall and bulbous, and I like these more lower profile mids. So this fits that, and I wanted a premium plastic. I did a video where I beat up a P-Line MD4, and I just was missing a premium plastic feel. So this is the best of both worlds. And then second is the Color Glow Chariot from Infinite Discs. You may have seen my video on this. I love this mid-range. I can throw it hard, flat, and it'll go flat and then fade a little bit. If you add more hyzer, it will fade out earlier. If you add more Annie, it'll turn to the right and then come back flat. So it's a really predictable mid-range. I love the feel. The Color Glow plastic is great. The secret's out on these, but I love them. It's a great disc, and I will always have one in my bag. All right, let's talk Fairway drivers. So I carry quite a few Fairway drivers right now. So I'm gonna start with my 7 speeds. So I am very publicly a fan of the FD, and this year is no different for me. So my understable FD is this D-Line FD. This one's fairly newer, but I have another one that's very beat up. I'm trying to beat this one in sort of similarly so I can trade them in and out of the bag. This one's 175 grams, the other one was 167, so I have a lot of work to do on this. But the D-Line FD turns a lot, and then it just goes forever. What I really like these for are like poor footing shots on the side of a fairway, where you have a backhand line, but you want to throw something with less speed, but it'll still flip up and go a long way. So that's what I use this D-Line FD for. The next FD I have in my bag is this C-Line FD. C-Line, maybe S-Line. So this is it's a mystery disc from the mystery box. It is embossed S-Line FD, but it feels sort of like S-Line FD, but it is clear. So maybe it's a transitional disc from when they were switching the mold out from S-Line to C-Line. But it has some really cool coloring to it. It's sort of like smoky and hazy, but it's a great straight with fade disc. If I really power it up, it'll turn and then come back. But this is a great straighter FD. My third FD in the bag is this Night Strike 2. This is the first FD I ever got, actually. So this one holds a little bit of sentimental value, but it's my favorite thrower, Night Strike 2. So the Night Strike 2 is an overstable run of the FD. So I can throw this hard and flat, and it's gonna just hold that and still go a long way. But if I throw it on a hyzer, it'll really sort of fade out early. If I hold it on anhyzer, it will go right, land flat, and maybe come back a little bit. And what I really like this for is flip to flat forehands. So the next disc in my bag, I'll sort of compare the two. So the next disc I have in my bag is the 3-tool FD2. So this is a tick more stable than this. So I mainly use this for forehand or in the wind if it's like a headwind. This is a step up from this. So the Night Strike 2, I can throw it on a hyzer. It'll flip up to flat, ride, and then fade, where I can throw this disc flat, and it's just a tick up. So in the wind, it'll go a little bit to the left on my forehand, but it's straight with fade. It's a great disc to sort of calibrate my forehand release, is if I throw it flat and it goes straight and fades, I know I did my job well. Okay, let's talk my 9 speeds now. So I carry a couple molds in the 9-speed range. So the first of which is the Infinite Discs Sphinx. This is a mold that has a lot of different stabilities based on the plastic. So this first one is my most beat up iBlend. So the iBlend plastic is a mix of Pro Plastic and Star Plastic, since they're manufactured by Innova. And this one has a very nice dome on it, and it's very pop-toppy here. So this disc, if you throw it in a tailwind, the wind will get under that dome and make it carry for a long time. It's not very forehandable, and that's one thing I've noticed about the Sphinx, is that it doesn't take forehand torque very well. So I have a couple other discs in the bag in a similar spot compared to these for forehand. But this disc, if I throw it hard and flat, it'll get a huge S-flight and then land flat. I can throw it on a hyzer and it will flip to flat and fade. And then my second Sphinx is one of these Zoe Andike swirly S-blend or swirly star Sphinxes, and this one is a little bit less domey. It works for full turnover forehands, but like dramatically. So I release it on a steep hyzer, it'll flip all the way over and then maybe come back at the end. But I use this disc mainly for a tick up in stability from that eye blend. I can throw it flat and it's gonna turn a little bit and then come back. So it's a really point and shoot 9-speed, which I really like. All right, on to my other 9-speeds. So these are actually really recently in the bag and I'm really happy with them so far. So it's the Dynamic Discs Convict. And this Convict is very much beat up. I got it from a friend of mine. And this disc forehand, if I throw it flat, it'll turn and then fade back out. The Convict still has a lot of fade at the end, but it will turn. At least this beat up one will. So it's a nice flat profile. It's shallow. It feels really nice in the hand, especially for forehand. So I'm using these discs mostly for forehand or windy conditions backhand. And then the second one is a Lucid X Convict. And this one is more stable by a significant margin than that Lucid. This one is nearly, I think, where a Lucid Felon or Lucid X Felon is. I throw it flat and it rides straight for a little bit and then fades out really hard and sort of dumps at the end. This is a great complement to the other Convict in the bag. I had a Castoplast stall in this slot until I got this, just because I prefer consolidating molds when possible. So throwing this and my other Convict feel very similar in the hand, and I really like that. So this is sort of my overstable 9-speed, and I'm really liking it so far. Okay, let's talk distance drivers. My first distance driver is the Innova Wraith. I had the Infinite Discs Aztec in this slot for a long time, but I lost all of my premium plastic metalflake glow Aztecs, and they're really expensive to replace. So I decided, let's go with something I can find in stock nearly all the time that's a similar flight. So I found the Wraith, and I'm really happy with it so far. I've thrown Wraiths before, but I'm really liking this one that I'm starting to beat up. So this is a Star Wraith. What I really like it for is sort of distance shots with my forehand. So I can throw it on a slight hyzer, it'll flip up, ride to the right a tiny bit, and then fade out. Or if I release it more flat, I can get a full flight out of it, and it's a really, really reliable disc. And then a step up from that, and a little bit domier, is this Halo Star Wraith. This Halo is pretty beefy for any of the discs that it is. So this one I can release on a hyzer, it'll hold the hyzer the whole way. Or I can release it flat and it will go straight, maybe a tiny bit to the left on forehand, but then it'll fade out a lot. So this is a great disc for the wind, especially a headwind. All right, next for distance drivers are the Infinite Discs Pharaoh. So I carry 3 in the bag right now. This first one is an iBlend Pharaoh. So again, iBlend is the mix between Pro and Star. And this disc is very flat, and you can see that right here. It's very understable, especially at full speed. So what I like this disc for is tailwind shots and wide open sort of big S-line drives. But another use I've found with it is, say I'm like in a bush and I have a forehand out and I'm like on my knees, I can sort of throw this hard and it'll turn and just sort of ride straight for a long time. So maybe like a 250 foot upshot if I'm sort of really struggling and I need to get speed, but I don't have the room with which to really do a full throw. This is really handy for that. The next Pharaoh I have in the bag is this Metalflake C Blend, and this is also pretty flat, but the Metalflake C Blend is more stable. It's a pretty straight Pharaoh, so if I throw it flat, it will just go straight and then fade. I can sort of use it as a point and shoot disc. If I put anhyzer on it, it'll pan and then land flat and come back a little bit. So this is a really good sort of middle stability Pharaoh. And my third Pharaoh is this swirly S Pharaoh. This one has more of a dome than the other two. And what I really like about this one is I can throw this basically as hard as I can and it will go straight and fade. So that, for me, is great if I have the space with which to use it. A lot of the time I'll find myself with the Wraith if it's a little bit tighter of a fairway, or the Convict if it's even tighter than that. But this is a great disc when I can use full power and throw it hard and flat. I can throw flex shots with it too, and I know it'll come out pretty early, which is useful if that's what the shot requires. All right, I have one more disc in the bag here, and these are gonna be my utility discs. So the last mold is the Infinite Discs Slab. So this mold is very similar to the Innova Max, and I carry it in two plastics. The first of which is iBlend, which is a straighter plastic, but it's still significantly overstable. What I love about this one is that it's not board flat like this concrete, where this one is almost concave and it falls out of the sky immediately. This one is more throwable, so if it's really windy, sort of headwind or crosswind, I will throw this on forehand, hard, low, and flat, and it will just go straight and hold that nice reliable finish. So this disc is something I'm using more and more as I get more comfortable with my forehand. And the last one is this concrete slab, the Jeremy Colling signature. I really like this disc for overhand shots. The thing about this disc though is that it's so overstable, you have to make sure to release it on like a 10 or 11 o'clock angle so it gets that full flight. I throw this slab also overhand, and what I've noticed is I can throw this one flatter and it'll flip over faster. So the way that I choose what overhand disc to use is basically, if I'm doing tomahawk, how much distance can I be panning to the right before I have to come back to the left? And so if it's sort of a pretty quick one, I'll actually throw one of my FDs. So it'll flip over really quickly and then come back. And if it's sort of middle distance, I'll throw this iBlend slab. And if I can pan right as much as possible, it'll keep carrying and then finally flip over at the end. So this is sort of the max distance tomahawk shot for me. All right, lastly for my in the bag is my pound octo haul. I love this bag very much. I got it custom last year and it has held up super well. I know these pound bags are really expensive, but if you can get one, they will last forever. I'm shocked at how not dirty this is after basically a year of use. There are no more things that I can say that haven't already been said. If you're looking at more of a detailed review, go ahead and check out Doth Savik's review of these. He does a lot of bag reviews and he's really, really good. So look him up on YouTube and watch his Pound Octo review. All right, if you have any questions on any of the discs that you saw in my in the bag, go ahead and ask me in the comments here, or you can message me on Instagram at backofthebox_DG and just send me a direct message there and I will talk discs with anybody who wants to talk. I could talk about discs all day, clearly. That is it for me. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Have a good rest of your day. I hope you get to go play some disc golf soon and be good to one another. Okay, bye-bye.